Hey, so welcome to Secret Influence TV interview. I interview people who have powerful stories to share or expertise who are making a difference, an impact on the world in some way. I'm very excited to have Stephen Smith, is the founder of the Live with Nature, the LWN, which we'll be talking about in a bit. So, Stephen, welcome to Secret Influence TV.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Nick. I appreciate that. So awesome to be here. I really appreciate that. I do.
So I guess there's lots of things, you seem like a very busy person, you know, I think I saw somewhere, describe yourself as a content creator and an influencer. And I think from knowing you, I would definitely agree. You're also an author. You do create a lot of fantastic content on lots of different channels in YouTube and Facebook, and I think you do. Influencing is such an important skill to have that ability to impact and engage, inspire others. And I think that's certainly something you do. I
Mhm.
just want to start with that by asking perhaps what Live with Nature is. Do you want to say what it is and why you founded it?
Yes, I certainly can. That was really the beginning of my video career, so to
Sure.
say. I started doing live broadcasting. I believe I started back in about 2017, 2018. And I was inspired to do sunrise videos. That morphed itself to ultimately the LWN Live with Nature Foundation. And so that's where the live with nature or live with nature, it doesn't really matter how you want to look at that because that's what we do.
Sure.
If you know you want to get back in touch with yourself, I think
Sure.
nature is a great way. Yeah.
And I guess that does that link into the. I love your slogan. I mean, so your broadcast, you call it the Get to Know
Yeah.
broadcast, which I guess
Yeah.
is because you're interviewing people and getting to know the people you interview and what they do, and then you have a resource for transformational change. And I guess that's what we all in life are trying to improve ourselves and work towards transforming ourselves as we move towards happiness and success. So what I want to do is ask you was first of all, who do you get on the show? Do you have a sort of criteria? What sort of people? Or is it anyone who has story share? How do you sort of choose the people for your show?
Well, I've been doing video and I actually I do send it to social media. I do send it to Facebook and
Sure.
Instagram and YouTube, and I've got channels there. But it is an E360 TV network. And so I'm broadcasting live Mondays and Fridays, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here, to Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple, and Android TV. So it's an actual, honest to goodness, well, quote, TV show, but
Sure,
it's
of
actually
course.
more of an internet thing because, gosh, it like television's changed, hasn't it?
Massively. Yeah, no, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's what I do is these get to know broadcasts. And then to answer your question, uh, do I have criteria? My criteria really is I'm looking to bring people like yourself on, people that are influencers, that are probably self-employed entrepreneurs, sharing their story to help my viewers be able to have an opportunity to learn, to grow. I hope that they're inspired, that they take notes and get information. And then, so it's really mostly the show, except for this last one, ended up on my stuff, but it was a
That's
branding show. That's why we used
okay.
the other things I do.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, it is about influencers and
Mm,
people that make a difference in
sure.
life and how they made a difference. And a lot of times, what's happened is, like for my story is,
Yeah, do you want to share your
uh,
story?
hmm,
Everyone, what, yeah, what's, because everyone, I guess everyone has a story there, but
Yeah.
it's to share. But and then the story is why we do what we do. You know what? So what's your story, Stephen? What's led to you?
Right. So, what led to my transformation, and
Mm,
I think that that's the important part, and I've always felt that I was an influential leader and a resource for transformation, because interestingly enough, all my stuff seemed to be around my story,
sure,
which I mean, in a real nutshell, is I made a lot of poor choices in my life. I mean, I made a lot of good choices too,
sure,
but my poor choices, I'd end up breaking out in handcuffs and going to jail
sure.
for drinking. And
Right.
that was my main deal, is I was just
Okay.
drinking too much.
Sure.
And so over the years, it actually, I recognize now, I believe in a higher power. I believe in God
Okay.
is my higher power.
Sure.
And so I realized when I was like 20 years old, 19, 20 years old, that he had given me a warning, don't drink and drive
Right.
because I witnessed an accident where 8 people out of 10 died,
Wow.
and they were like all under 8 or 21 years old.
Wow. That's
It
quite.
actually led to the organization MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Drivers.
Right.
And so that's a national, could be international. But God was telling me, Steve, don't drink and
Sure.
drive, but I didn't listen.
Yeah.
I did
Yeah.
not listen.
Sure. Well,
So
of
I
course,
spent
if you're
40
miserable,
years
isn't
in
it?
the
Yeah.
desert, is what I say,
Sure.
kind of like Moses. And Moses stayed in the desert just like I did
Yeah.
because I was not listening to the message.
Right.
And so then, over the years, several times for multiple years at a time, I'd quit drinking
Okay.
and not do drugs. And then
Sure.
actually in 2017, I mean, I got straight, and that
Right.
was good. And I turned my life and my will over to the care of God as I understand Him. And my life transformed. In 2017, I said, I'm going public. I had
Okay.
no idea what that meant.
Sure. Sure. So that was your point. So I guess if people say you reach a point where you know, okay, I've got to do something, I
Yeah.
need to change, and then then once you made that decision, that's when you start open, creating that vision for yourself, a mission for your life. So was that the
Yeah.
point where you thought, okay, this is it.
So
I'm gonna
that
do
was
something.
my
I'm gonna
point
change my
is
life. Yeah.
that, yeah, it's like
Mm.
I woke up and I found myself saying all this really positive information, and
Sure.
it was positive, and my life was positive, and
Yeah.
I love my life. And I got to the point where, yeah, I can look in the mirror and say, I love you, Stephen. And that's a big thing. You
Sure.
know, for the viewers, I mean, if you try it, you
Yeah.
know,
Of course.
and the more we do, this is what I know, the more we do the same things over and over, if it's a healthy routine, and it doesn't matter if it is healthy or not, if we do the same thing over and over, it becomes
Sure.
a habit,
Yeah. Of
becomes a habit.
course.
Um, and then there's just so much about subconscious.
Yes.
That's where everything really starts, is our
Right.
subconscious does like 95% of the driving of everything we do.
Yes.
But when I turned it over to the Lord, I had to step out of the driver's seat and say, you
Mm.
take over. And then I listened to his wisdom through the Holy Spirit and hopefully then just do the next right
Sure.
thing.
And so clearly, religion play is an important thing for you.
Yeah.
Has it always, or was it, has it always been a time in your life, or was it at this time when you were going for this, you
Well,
found
it
it
was
you found it?
interesting because when I was 19 and witnessed that car accident, I had just recently,
Sure.
in the Christian religion, been saved. And so I'd
Sure.
accepted Jesus as my
Mm.
savior, admitted that I was wrong.
Sure.
I adopted John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son,
Sure.
that whosoever believes in him shall not die but have everlasting life.
Yeah.
And that's been with me all my life. I was
Okay.
born and raised Catholic, but I'm not, I'm spiritual these days.
Sure, of course.
Yeah.
With
So
sorry.
yeah, I mean, I been around it most of my life, yeah. And have I
Sure.
studied other types of religions? I have. But
Yeah,
religion isn't what I think is the answer for me.
sure.
It's more having a relationship with the Lord and
Right.
and Jesus. And so I said in my videos, I want to be more like Jesus. And
Right.
so
Got
that's
you.
what's happened for me
Yeah.
is that slow but sure I have. And then in 2020, I think divine inspiration, I decided to submit the paperwork to become a 501c3, which is a tax exempt corporation, so that if people donate to the foundation,
Right.
they don't have to pay tax on that dollars.
Right. Okay, that's
And
fantastic. Yeah.
yeah,
So I guess that brings in that ties in you're helping others
yes,
through the foundation you do by making it registered and making it official almost in that way. That's
yes, it
um
did, Nick. It was a lot of work. It truly
sure.
was a lot of work to be able to get that. And when I got it, I was thrilled. Now that was 5 years ago.
Sure.
And so the thing is, I was doing the broadcasting with E360 TV, and I had several shows. I had the Sunrise Daybreakers doing the morning, welcoming
Right.
in the day. I had Ask Dr. Jenny show where it was more health and wellness
Right.
related,
Busy guy.
natural health and wealth related,
Sure.
not pharmacy. And then the Get to Know broadcast. And
Quite,
then
yes.
I came back out with a Get to Know broadcast
Right.
recently.
So, yeah, a couple of questions that I had on my mind was, firstly, with all the, I guess what I like about your style of interviewing is it's very relaxed and conversational, and I think it's a mixture of you sharing your story and your thoughts and then coaxing the story and the expertise from the person interviewing, and I like that. I think that's what you've got a story to share, and it's entwining both of those. So my question to you is, of all the people you've interviewed, I guess
Hmm.
um, you must hear a lot of great suggestions for ways
Yeah.
to be happier, healthy, live a better life. Is there any things that have stood out for you which you've adopted, from the people you've interviewed, things you thought, yeah, okay, that's a good, that's relevant
There
content.
are. I mean, I've been blessed to be able to
Right.
do so many, like in my mind, and then, of
Sure.
course, in theirs are fantastic interviews of
Mm.
wonderful people, and I learn. And that's another reason why I do this is that I learn from them.
Yeah.
And so
Cool.
one of the important factors is I learned a lot from Evan Carmichael, who is a YouTuber. And
Okay.
I just had played an old video from about 5 years ago that I just, what happened to me is that I decided I'm done with social media,
Sure.
took about 2 years off, and then just got back into it again about a year ago. And I'm glad that I did. I almost quit. Joshua Berglund said, "Don't quit." And then I'm looking at my old videos, I'm saying, "Don't quit."
I'm glad you didn't quit.
Like I couldn't even take my own advice.
Sure.
So
That's
Evan
yeah.
Carmichael,
Yes.
yes. And he has interviewed the top
Right.
influencers in the world.
Okay.
And so I would watch his top 10.
Yes.
And his top 10 would have people like Elon Musk and just so many. I mean,
Yes. No, of course.
I'm almost in a blank on the names, but I do know Evan, got to know him well. He did do an interview with me. And then just the other day, I had Jay Rise on, and
Okay.
Jay Rise was his
Sure.
branding expert,
Right.
and he took, you know, and that's what Evan does is he tells you what to do if you want to have a business, and then how to do that. And so I
Sure.
stepped into that and learned that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting because I think that, we can have more success and be happier, by getting tips from different people. I think, if we
Mm.
just, watch, say, finance experts or
Right.
branding experts. Yes, we'll improve certain aspects of our business, but actually,
Hmm.
you know, like, I've looked at people, you interview, if we listen to an author or we listen to a
Hmm.
health expert, all
Hmm.
different people who are experts, I think they'll all bring something to
Yeah.
help improve our lives.
Yeah.
Um,
I
so what the
agree.
question I have for you, what's, looking ahead, do you have a sort of a mission or vision for what would be your ideal thing as you interview more and more people and perhaps your channel grows and you get interviewed yourself, do you have a
I do. I have I mean my purpose is to be
mm,
I am a servant, I should say. I am a disciple of
sure,
Christ.
right,
Um, that's my main thing. I put God first and everything else behind it. There's a lot of important stuff that go into, well, like maximizing it and SEO and but I don't spend time scrolling and wasting
sure,
endless hours anymore, number one. Evan said, get a mentor. So that's what I
sure,
did. I got, mentors
yes,
and I learned from them and then I could apply that. Yeah, that's where the show comes in because I can learn from my guests and educate my followers. And what I want people to be able to do is know that, and interestingly enough, many people, everybody, like you said, Nick, has experienced something.
sure,
Okay, and so the fact is that when you make that breakthrough, then you realize that you can, from your story, help other people.
right,
And
yes,
so many of us have done that. And that's where when you break through that barrier and um, move forward, it takes action. It takes a lot of work. Um, do I worry about a lot of other things? No, because I'm just too busy to even think about the stuff. Yeah.
yeah. Yes, I mean, you do, seem very, busy. You have a few channels a week and you got the
Yeah.
foundation. Do you find personally keeping busy is something that helps you achieve, I don't know, sometimes,
Sobriety?
healthy distraction. Is that something you find helpful being busy, keeping
Yeah,
a,
I think being busy is much better than being idle. I
sure,
mean, we only have one life, and truly, we only have really this minute right here.
sure,
And they call this the present. The past is a memory. The future's not here yet. We have the present, and they call that, I believe, because it's a gift.
correct,
And we might not be here tomorrow. So, all I want, my goal is heaven. And so all I know is that like me trying to be like Jesus, I need to tell people that there is hope. There's always hope, even when are our challenges are the devil, truly.
sure.
And there's so much like terrible things going on in this world,
Mm,
but we just not, it's up to us not to let ourselves get down. I say this, I dragged things for decades before,
sure.
and I don't do that anymore.
Right.
I let
Yes.
it go quickly, and then I
Okay.
remind myself, oh, well, who's benefiting? Is this doing me any good? And now I'm not saying I don't like to just have my own time. Self-care is
Of
super
course.
important.
Yes. No, definitely very important. Must.
So, gosh, I work a whole lot, but I
Yes.
also know that I have to
Yes.
because I might not have tomorrow. And so I have a goal. And our next goal is to have a safe home. And
Sure.
I want to open, and I've talked about this for years, and I'm going to have a fundraiser, raise the funds, have a place that I can to help the homeless and people with mental health issues that are like coming out of crisis from mental health, to have a stable home, a temporary home, to be able to then get the information that they need to like basic life skills
Sure.
and health care needs and stuff like this. And then hopefully they'll be able to own a home and have their own place at some point and maybe start a business, you know?
Wow. That's
And
incredible.
so,
Yeah.
yeah, that is my big dream is to have the safe haven or safe home. I think is the best word because it's not even a safe house. No, it's a safe home.
I think
And
that's
because I
yeah.
was homeless. I
Oh, really?
even
Well, when was that? When was it? What period was that?
2010,
Sorry, 2010.
2010.
Right, golly. I mean, that's
And then they said I had mental health problems. I'm
sure.
bipolar and all this. And it's like, well,
Right.
hey, no kidding. I was drinking,
Well, yeah. And homeless. And homeless.
But everybody has ups and downs.
Of
That's
course.
okay.
Yes, no, it's part of
So
it.
I wasn't like classified this bipolar.
Sure.
So whatever, you can
Yeah,
classify me any way you want
of
to.
course.
But the fact of the matter is that I had struggles, but I overcame them. And I think that that's where the important factor is.
I think that's the most important factor. I think it's not the in some ways, we all have our challenges in our life, but it's how we deal with it, and that's the reflection of our strength and resilience, is it, how we manage to get over those.
Yes,
Um, do you think, I guess following on from, the saying how important it is to be sort of busy, but not so busy we can't have self-care. Do you think sort of
right.
having good habits? Because I know myself, I try to establish good habits for the day,
Yes.
and as part of my being productive, but
Routine.
having self-care. Do you think having good, you establish good habits for the way
Yes.
you live your
I
life?
do.
Yeah,
And I implemented those routines a long time ago. I
sure,
mean, for me, I end up getting up very early and but then I don't stay up late, and that's the other side of
sure,
that. So I get enough sleep. Uh, there was a day that I didn't, and you're
sure,
falling
sure,
asleep at work thing. And I don't do that anymore because I get enough sleep. A routine is super important.
sure.
And I start my routine with God. I
Right,
thank Him first,
sure,
and I'm grateful. And I try and set the stage for the day, right? Of
sure.
of gratitude.
Yeah,
And then I'll listen to spiritual videos. I'll listen to empowering videos,
right,
mostly stoic, virtue stuff, which is very, very much like what God wants, expects out of us
sure,
anyways.
sure.
And
Yeah.
then I'll probably listen, occasionally I'm listening again to the Evan Carmichael stuff. I really love Greg Braden.
Sure. Right.
And you're familiar with him.
I know the name. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen some
Well, so
bits.
he does the same thing about like me because I just realized it's everything is a thought. And then that's caused by our subconscious. But the fact is that we have the opportunity and the ability to change our epigenetics. Within epigenetics, we can change our genes, we can change our life, we can enjoy everyday life. And that's what I try and impart for the viewers is you have this opportunity.
Sure. I guess that links to your, what I like is that resource for transformational change.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah, I think it was innate in humans to want to grow and improve ourselves. I think no one wants to feel we're not moving forwards in some way, because otherwise I
right.
think we feel we're stuck. We're stuck. So transformational change is a good way of putting it. It's a positive thing that we should ought to do. And
Yes.
so I wanted to ask you, maybe you've half answered it. I know religion's very important for you, but what
Yeah.
inspires you? Is it in life? What are the things that get you excited, inspire you to do what you do? What is it?
What inspires me is knowing that I'm doing the right thing.
Sure.
Uh, I'm being
Right.
uh, every day, I think I get to be better at compassion and understanding, not so, and trying to become like more like Zen, neutral. Um, People can have their own thoughts and we don't have to accept other people's thoughts, but it's nice to be nice to them
Sure.
even if they
Yes.
we don't agree, and we need more of that. Yes, I agree, but or yes, I and this is where page 417 out of the big book comes is acceptance is the answer to all my
Right.
problems. Yeah.
Okay, I like that. I like that. Do you mean acceptance in ourselves, acceptance of others, or both? Both those things.
Both,
Both.
definitely, because we have to even get, I think, anywhere in life, we have to then take time to look at ourselves and be truthful, brutally truthful with ourselves. Then I
Right.
think that honesty, and that's something that my parents imparted in me, is being honest.
Right.
Um, I'll admit, I could be drunk and say, are you drinking?
Sure.
No. It's
Sure.
like, yeah, so I lied about that kind of thing. But no,
Sure.
being honest and transparent and doing a self inventory, then determining what do I need to do next to be able to achieve the goals that I have. And I love starting at the top. This is what I want, and then start working on figuring out what are these steps that I'm going to have to take to get to that point.
Love it. I love it. I think that's so true. I think, we all have to have that big vision. Where in an ideal world, where do we want to be in 5, 10 years? What's our
Yeah.
dream goal? And then
Yes.
you work back and you say, what do I manageable, realistic steps to get there? And I think that's the
Yes.
best approach. I
I
think
think that an important factor is not to be too hard on ourselves because I've
sure.
always been learned to become very critical and
Yeah, I can do
self-judgmental
that.
of myself and
Sure.
other people
Of
too.
course. No, very common.
And so when I have more patience with myself
Sure.
and understand it's not my timeline,
Yeah.
okay, I'm not really in charge of my timeline, and I'm just like grateful to be here
Sure.
with me,
Yes.
because I had a few times where, yeah, it could have been the other way, and I might
Mm,
wouldn't have been here. But God kept me here
right.
for a reason, and that's to hopefully get people to realize that through Jesus Christ we can be saved. Uh, he tells us that we can have anything we want,
Sure.
but we have to be in the right place in our heart
Right. Yeah.
first to be able to get there. And most of the people that I know, like yourself, in the same space I'm in. And
Sure.
that's what's the beautiful part of it. And so when you open your mind to this stuff, it becomes like wonderful. So
Yeah.
what inspires me? Happiness inspires me.
Sure.
Because
Sure.
what's the opposite of happiness? Well, upset. Uh,
Sure.
you
Oh,
know
goodness.
opinionated,
Yeah.
blaming others for my
Sure.
problems, So that's where I had to do self inventory. I
Mm.
had to take accountability for my own actions.
I think when you nailed on the head when you said about I think you said less critical. I think we're all so
Yeah,
many of us are guilty of being I think too self-critical at
critical.
times.
Yeah,
And I think we perhaps off deep down we all want the same thing, but we all have our own journey to get our own path. And it's so easy, I think, not just to be self-critical, but to compare ourselves to others, particularly social media, and say, well, that person's got what my,
right.
he's half my age and he's good living life I dream about. But
Yeah.
actually, we all have our own path, and that's the thing, isn't it? That's part of the acceptance thing, I guess.
It is, and I would say that when we see somebody that has something, you say, I want that too. Well,
Mm,
that's the whole idea. That's where transformation can come in. But what you don't have to do is say, well, why does he have it and I don't? No, it's like, I'm glad for him to have that.
yeah, of
I want that too. I am that. And this is
course.
where acting as if comes in
Right.
because I believe that we need to act as if we already have everything that we
As
want,
if I
the
don't, yeah.
perfect world, all this stuff, and imagine that and feel that and embody that. And
Sure.
when we do, that makes for our dreams and our goals to start manifesting. Because when I said I would go public, I did that to put my sister on TV, right, with
Sure.
our family business. That's what I was thinking. I didn't know I'd be the one doing that for her.
There you
Yeah,
go. Unexpected twist of turns. I like it. I like the as if, live as if, live as if. I like that. That's a good
yeah,
commitment to it.
exactly.
So just we're going to come towards the end of the our chat. It always goes too quick.
Okay.
But if people want to follow you, do you want to just sort
Yeah.
of remind everyone, remind the viewers what you're, what they should search for. How should they find you?
Yeah. Well, it's pretty easy on Facebook and Instagram. I'm at Stephen R. Smith, uh, Sarasota, FL. Okay, and Stephen is actually with a PH. Okay, Stephen R. Smith, Sarasota, SOTAFL. Okay, that's where I live. Uh, Facebook and Instagram. I'm on YouTube. I what is it? Stephen R. Smith 4175. I also have other channels, but the important factor is this. I would love for people to come and check out my website. I am building it. I'm planning to make it, yeah, better, of course.
Sure.
But it's a great start. I've done
Yeah,
blogs and stuff, and that's stephenrsmith.org.
fantastic.
So yeah, Stephen with a PH.
Fantastic. So yes, I urge anyone watching this, check out Stephen on social media. I'll share the links below, but watch the videos, share them. I think this is how we help ourselves and help others by sharing inspirational posts, videos, people's tips and expertise. This is how we help, contribute to a
The
wider community
community.
of people being more
Community,
successful.
right? You
Well,
said
it
it.
is. We're part of the community, isn't it? That's why I like the
And
idea.
we need each other.
We do, which is important. I
Team,
always think, Stephen, that connection and collaboration is more important than
yeah.
competition. And I think so often we see a thing as a competition, competing, but
Right.
actually connection and collaboration, I think is more powerful.
I agree.
There we go.
I totally agree. Thank you very much for having me.
But I've really enjoyed it, Stephen. Honestly, I've been wanting to chat to you for a long time. Been lovely to see you sort of face to face. And
Yes.
let's
Oh,
speak again soon.
we met here.
We did. Yes, we did there. Yes, that's
This
it.
was really cool. And this recognized because, we're also part of another group, the Mental Health Warriors.
Nice. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so, so blessed.